everyone, I'm Meredith, and listen, I'm just a girl still stuck in my apartment, still looking for someone to talk to. And this is Sadie. She's our new Cavapoo. She's about 3.5 months old. And today we're talking to Shelby Semel, who's a canine behavior expert and dog trainer, about preventing, I thought you wanted to say with me, come on, separation anxiety for pandemic pups as we all start going back to the office. But before we get into all of that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Let's Talk About It YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And make sure when you do, you hit that little notification bell so you never miss a video. Go ahead, like and subscribe. Sadie, Shelby, and I will wait. Did you do it? Great. Shelby, let's get started. Welcome. Let's talk about it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, pandemic pups. So many of us have brought a new furry member into our family while we've all been home for almost a year. Can you believe it's been so long? I am one of those people. My husband and I just brought home a Cavapoo puppy almost last month to the day. She's 14 weeks and she's gorgeous and delicious and a huge handful for being just 5 pounds. So lots of questions on as the pandemic hopefully comes to an end. What's next for our pandemic pups, our pandemic puppy families, and where do we go now that we might not be home so much, and easing separation anxiety for me and her?
So a lot of it is actually really about being proactive. So I've been telling all my pandemic puppy owners to start leaving their dogs, even if they have absolutely nowhere to go. So whether that means taking a walk around the block that you do not need to take, or grabbing a coffee, heading to your lobby for a phone call, like anything you can do to make sure that you are leaving your pup alone. So that way it isn't such a shock when and if people go back to their full-time jobs. So that's been something we've been pretty strict about with trying to get puppy owners on board with, as far as like there's a house training schedule, there's a food and water schedule, there is a leave the puppy schedule.
Mm-hmm. To that point, as we're starting to get back into the world more and activities are going to resume more, pet parents are going to start socializing more. I would assume bringing their puppies, they're now maybe who are now full grown, depending on when during this pandemic time they brought home the dog, as they prepare to socialize more, introduce them more to new people, introduce them more to new dogs. They may be new to a dog park. What advice can you impart?
Slow and steady. Your dog should be meeting one dog at a time. They should be the appropriate dog. You know, you want to choose your friend's dog who likes puppies, or your friend's dog that is well socialized. You don't want to head into a dog park full of unknown dogs for your dog's first, big day out meeting. So one at a time, slow and steady. I wouldn't suggest going to a friend's house that has 4 dogs and knowing that you have to spend the whole day and bringing your dog. That would be a lot on the first time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, slow and steady. And same thing with people. You can't have a dinner party with 15 people the day you feel safe about it. People have to come over one at a time. And I've been seeing that with a lot of clients. People are like, my dog is so social and lovely. And, a trainer comes over, or one person comes over and it's their first guest. And they're like, oh, my dog sat in the corner the whole time. They were very nervous. They weren't used to having someone in their space, which is very clearly COVID related. They hadn't had someone in their space for many, many months. And you got to go very, very slow and just expect that it might be a little bit difficult and be pleasantly surprised if it's not.
Interesting. As the weather warms up, I'm sure, specifically to dog parks, introducing your animal into that kind of a setting, even if they've been around other dogs in smaller play groups or, friends, pets. Is it like breaking the ice, introducing them to this environment that is naturally, full of new animals?
Yeah. I'm more of like only take your dog into a dog park anyway if you're very confident about your dog's social skills and play skills. I'm really more of a fan of one-on-one play dates or, moderated group play until you know your dog. And then once you know your dog, you can feel a little bit more comfortable doing something like that. But I would say you first do a few one-on-one off leash, whether it's in an apartment or big open space, to work on that. Yeah, and I have a feeling that the dog parks will be very, very crowded because everyone's going to go, oh, it's April, it's May, so nice out, like right there. You don't want to go in when there's a ton of dogs. The first time you go into a dog park, it's great when there's maybe no dogs and you just kind of let the dog get a little bit comfortable with the surroundings, or maybe one or two dogs and you watch them play from outside first and get a feel for it, and then you let your dog in. But yeah, puppies that are young shouldn't be going in really anyway. So that normally wouldn't happen in the first months of their life. So
right.
Dog park is when you're confident in your dog's social skills.
I don't know that I will ever be. I'm like a nervous mother.
And you don't have to be.
I'm
You do not have to be. Like, you don't have to take your dog to a dog park. There are other ways for your dog to socialize and to burn up energy. So if you are not comfortable, I don't even suggest you going.
Now that, again, the pandemic is coming to the end, for people that it feels like, you may have missed the boat, but if you're bringing a dog home now, are we still in this pandemic puppy phase? And, what do you suggest for as this,
we still are, in the sense that people are still not going to work all the time. So I think until you're back to an office, it's always going to feel like there's still a bit of pandemic still left with us.
Right.
What will change is when people are comfortable having guests over. Yeah. And a little bit more contact in that situation. It'll be much easier to socialize puppies to other dogs as well as people. And what's really interesting, like here in New York City, now restaurants will be able to have outdoor space. So there's going to be a whole new wave of, okay, I need my dog to behave while we bring it with us. My dog has separation anxiety. I need to bring it with me. And also it's going to be at a restaurant and there's 3 other dogs and there's lots of food. It's begging. And so that's going to, I think, be the next stage, which is like, how do I get my dog that maybe didn't have so much social time to be in this like new, fun, exciting world and just have manners even?
Yeah. How do you prepare for that? Humans don't have enough manners going to restaurants. How do you prepare? Outdoor dining never really shut down. You don't really see it so much when it's snowing and 30 degrees, but it's 50 degrees outside. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of restaurants and diners enjoying dinner al fresco this evening.
Right. And it's kind of amazing because if it's going to really stay, this is going to be now a whole new element to Manhattan that didn't exist, like Miami or, LA with outdoor seating. So my fiance actually owns a restaurant. So I'm going to start doing training sessions at his restaurant before they come in, and we're going to have tables, and we're creating a whole plan right now because I think that's probably the next wave of things people are going to want to work on. How can my dog be polite and, lay still and be comfortable or happy, whatever it is for that specific dog that they're having difficulty with. And I think the foundation for that before working on it at the actual restaurant would be just having their basic, skills of laying down, maybe being able to relax on a mat is a great skill to teach. And then being able to do it for little small doses around some distractions. And that's where we're still doing group classes. We restarted them, and the group classes are a really good way to start teaching your dog how to work around some of these, more excited things that they haven't been used to seeing. So we're kind of paving the way for that as group classes came back, and then we'll go into restaurant training, which will be really cool, and just outdoor park classes, everything and anything we can do to help owners work with their dogs in more difficult environments than their home.
Is your fiance considering, I'm slightly embarrassed to ask this, but like a pup friendly menu?
Oh my God, don't be embarrassed. I don't know what he'll do. They always bring out like treats, and they never had outdoor space, but like the hostess stand and nice would be outside, and they'd always leave water and bring treats and like have the puppies take pictures in the front because they're super dog friendly. But now, I wouldn't be surprised. We could ask the chef. And it's not that weird. Why shouldn't the dog get to enjoy something at the same time that is down on the ground in their own bowl?
It seems like the best way to occupy them is just to have them do the same thing you're doing. So It makes sense. Where's the restaurant? So if and when Sadie can join my husband and I for an evening out.
Ferns in the East Village.
Ferns in the East Village. Okay, wonderful. Now, for again, for people starting to bring home puppies now, as we're in the end of the pandemic puppy stage, are there different supplies that pet owners need to have that would, help this transition more to avoid separation anxiety that maybe people didn't consider when they were bringing dogs home initially in last March and April of the pandemic?
Yeah, so there are a ton of like great contraptions that can release treats electronically with a tap of a button of your cell phone or a remote control. They keep coming out with new ones, honestly, so often that it's hard to keep track now. It started out with a treat and train and then the pet tutor, and now there's the Furbo. So you can actually watch your dog and release the treat at moments you feel like they need it, or repeated treats, or slow feed their meal that way while you're not home. So those are, yeah, and it's unbelievable, right? So those are great tools to be able to utilize. If you're looking for something a little bit more on a budget, you can try just interactive items. They have so many dog treats and puzzles and toys that are, and they even have skill levels, easy, beginner, moderate, up to expert, that can keep your dog busy for periods of time. Rubber mats that you can lick peanut butter out of, snuffle mats where
we're getting one of those tonight.
Love the snuffle mat. It's great. And I love that for bringing them outside to kind of lay on at a restaurant or hang out with while they play with, and getting them comfortable with that. Busy Buddy twist and treat, a Kong wobbler. There's so many different types of interactive toys. Nina Ottoson has an entire line of like more, there are more like brain teaser toys that have little steps involved, and like I said, go from beginner to expert. So those are great options, and they're typically, depending on your dog and which one's safe to leave at home with the dog. So I like those options. Or like a good old bone, like a marrow bone or bully, so something to dig their teeth into. You don't necessarily need this expensive contraption.
My last question, as people who are considering either bringing a puppy home or who have recently done it over the last year, something that also has changed, at least in New York City, is real estate. Rent prices have dropped, real estate prices also, but in different ways. Is there something new pet owners should consider, or those who are about to become new pet owners, when looking for a new living space for their dog that is at least an urban one? If they think to themselves, okay, maybe my studio apartment isn't conducive to bringing home a golden retriever. I want something a little bit bigger, but I don't know what would work for a new animal in my life.
A really interesting question. I think that people who have like little terraces or outdoor space, that could be really conducive for someone who maybe can't take their dog out on, 6 or 7 long walks a day, but doesn't want to use wee pads. So, a little outdoor space where you could put a grass patch or something might be really helpful. Size, I think it's really less about the apartment and more about the exercise you're willing to get your dog out of the apartment, because I think you can have a studio apartment with, an Australian Shepherd, as long as you are willing to put in the mental stimulation and the physical exercise that's necessary, because when they're home, they're just going to rest and chill and hang out. So, I think outdoor space, location, if you already, if you're rescuing a dog that, is super nervous, being right on an avenue might be difficult. So I think there are things like that you can take into consideration, being closer to a park or the water, if you're going to jog and be social in that sense with your dog. But I say, while prices are low, just get something you love and then fit your dog in.
Absolutely. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for talking. I am going to impart all of these notes to the little furry one in the other room. And I think she has maybe questions for you too, I will relay. But she wants to know what she has to go into her playpen. I told her I would relay, but in the meantime, Shelby, thank you so much for talking. Great points for pandemic puppy owners. And we will talk to you next next time. This has been Let's Talk About It.